Hi. So how can you increase your sales of insurance? Well, there's one vital rule that you need to put in place first, and I'll come on to that in a moment. During my career, in the last 60 months when I was in Asia, I sold over $250 million worth of insurance. And they were massive policies. They were big policies, average policies. There was just a lot of them. But I had no trouble with credibility and conviction in offering them because I followed rule number 1. So I'll come on to that in a minute. The other way also to sell insurance well is by following the principle of the best presentations are the ones no one sees coming. And if you want to know more about that, just check out my website, brianpeters.coach, book in a call. I'll be happy to share that with you. So what is rule number 1 when you want to sell more insurance? Well, you need to be able to do this. So what's that? Well, that's my insurance policy. If you want to sell someone $500,000 or £500,000 worth of insurance, you need to have a policy sitting in your briefcase or your sales aid folder that says you have $1 million. Because if anyone says to you, that sounds great, what do you have? And you don't have what you're proposing, you might as well get up and leave now. Your credibility has gone out the window, and you cannot really put forward your point with real conviction if you don't demonstrate that you believe in what you're doing. So unless you have it, you're not really going to sell it. It's very difficult for you to sell a $2 million policy, and if they ask you how much have you got, and you say I have 300,000, and they look at you like there's something wrong with you. Why would you want me to have 2 million and you got 300,000? Now, you can use all the excuses of I'm single, we're married but no kids, everything that you like. What about financial planning, wealth management, preparing for the future? Chances are you may have more kids. And if you're talking to somebody who's got 3 kids, they assume everybody's going to have 3 kids. You can try and tell them you won't, but you're already firefighting. So you can make all the excuses you want, but if you're sitting in front of a prospect or a client and you actually say to them, Mr. Prospect, I'm suggesting that you have $1 million worth because you have 3 kids. May I show you mine? And they go, yes, okay. And you show them a $2 million policy, and then you say to them, I don't even have kids yet. I just want to make sure I've got the right amount as early as I can for when I do have kids. No one can argue that. They cannot argue with you. You have shown credibility and conviction. The amount of sales you will do will go up. And I tell you why. If you're sitting at a meeting and you've got $1 million or $2 million or $3 million policy, which is yours in your briefcase or in your sales aid folder, and you come up with the topic of insurance, you're actually going to want to talk about it instead of shying away from it. Because you want to demonstrate how much belief you have in what you're talking about. Just makes sense, doesn't it? If you're suggesting someone has a savings plan of $1,000 a month, if they asked you, how much do you have? And you say, oh, I don't have one. Isn't the logical thing for the prospect or the client to say, why do you want me to have one then? Why should I have one? You don't have one. Is it not really that good? If it was that good, you'd have one. If insurance was that good, you'd have it, and you'd have a lot of it. And it doesn't matter whether it's critical illness or disability. So, rule number 1, if you want to sell more insurance, put your house in order and get big numbers. You will feel a lot more conviction to actually put forward your recommendations and actually discuss it. It sort of works like magic. You win, the clients win, you'll sell more quite quickly, so you'll cover the premiums that you're having to pay for increasing your insurance. Here's a tip. I would suggest that whether you've got kids or not, get $4 million worth. And when they say to you, why have you got $4 million worth? I always used to say, well, don't have any kids yet, but one for my wife and one for each child. I just want to make sure they never have to work again for the rest of their life. So I've got 4 million and I don't even have any kids yet. You got 3 and you don't have any. So I'm suggesting you have at least 1 million or 2 million. Whether they do it or not is not the issue. What it is you are now speaking from your heart, conviction, and credibility. Hard to argue with. Enjoy.